All right, welcome back. This week we are wrapping up our unit on informational text for now. Anyway, we're wrapping up this unit, and this week we're discussing analyzing relationships in informational text. So let's get into it. All right, our lesson goals or objectives for this week. I can identify relationships between individuals, events, and ideas in an informational text, and I can analyze how interactions between those individuals, events, and ideas influence other events and ideas. So, what does all of that mean? How do we analyze relationships? And more importantly, what are some of these relationships? Well, number one, of course, always we need to close read and annotate the text for full understanding. And in our close reading and annotating, some of the things that we need to identify are our text elements, those individuals, events, and ideas by asking ourselves who, what, when, where, why, and how. And then lastly, we need to describe the relationship between them. And that deals with the type of text we're dealing with, as well as the text structures that are used in that text. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. All right, text elements. Let's talk about them. Individuals, events, and ideas, how they interact, how they influence one another. Let's talk about what each one of these means. So, an individual, who is this text about? An individual could be a single person or thing, or a group of people or things, especially when compared to another group or a set to which they belong. So, when we're talking about individuals, we may be talking about a person, we may be talking about a group of people, but we want to focus on who this text is talking about. What are the main events in the text? So basically, events are things that happen, especially things of importance. So what are the important events, occasions that happened in our text? And then finally, what is the text about? When we talk about ideas, we're talking about formulated thoughts, opinions that people may have that may influence them to either connect with other individuals or create some type of event. Now, let's talk about our types of text. Typically, when we're dealing with analyzing interactions in a text, there are two main types of text that we deal with: historical, which is the text about events in the past; scientific text, which are about scientific concepts or processes; and then our technical text, which gives us instructions or technical procedures. Now, let's talk about text structures. We have steps and sequences. This is when it tells you things in order of how they happen, or how you should do them, like a recipe or some type of instruction. When we deal with series of events, we're talking about events that are happening one after another. So when we talk about first, next, then, finally, last, those are series of events. Then, of course, we have cause and effect. And this explains why things happen and what happens because of them. So this could be an idea, could cause an event, which could cause another event or another idea. And then finally, problems and solutions talk about problems and how we can fix them. So throughout this week, you're going to be reading different text structures and determining how the individuals, who is the story about, or who is the text is about, the events, what happened in that text, and those ideas, what opinions formulated, or what caused all of these different elements to be in motion. All right, some guiding questions we need to ask ourselves when we are analyzing and making connections when it comes to individuals, events, and ideas and how they influence each other. Again, who is the text about? What are the main events in the text? What is the text about? What connections can you make about the text? So, how are these individuals, events, or ideas influencing each other? How are certain individuals connected to one another? Does the text focus on a concept or an event? So does it focus on an idea or an event that's taking place? And how does the author explain these text elements? So how do they illustrate the individual's events and ideas and make that connection for us? All right, so let's do a quick example. It says, read the first paragraphs of the historical account about the photographer Edward Muybridge. So we already know our text structure or text type is an historical account. And we know that we're about to read about a photographer named Edward Muybridge. All right, flying horses. Do horses fly? Intelligent, well-educated people were still asking this question at the end of the 19th century. Although the age of believing in winged horses had long since passed, people still wonder if a horse ever lifted all four hooves off the ground at the same time. If someone can prove that a horse's hooves left the ground, then the answer would indicate that yes, in a sense, horses do fly. Edward Muybridge, photographer and adventurer, put an end to years of speculation. Through the use of new technology, photography, he laid the question to rest at last. In 1872, Muybridge was working as a photographer in San Francisco when Leland Stanford, former California governor, hired Muybridge to photograph his racehorse. Stanford wanted to know if all four hooves of a trotting horse actually leave the ground, even for an instant. Muybridge rapidly hatched a plan. Unfortunately, his efforts were unsuccessful. Now, let's explore the question. What people, events, and ideas led Muybridge's plan to photograph a horse? Think of the way the question about horses influenced Muybridge's actions. And we're going to fill in the chart below with the idea that led to his response. So, the individual that we discussed, Edward Muybridge, was influenced by an idea that caused him to photograph former Governor Stanford's horses. What was that idea? What was the question or the opinion or the formulated concept that they wanted to answer? So the question was, can horses fly? This was the idea that influenced Edward Muybridge in how he responded to wanting to answer that question. So he used new technology to photograph Stanford horses to see if their all four hooves of the horse left the ground. All right, so what's next for you? See your Google Classroom for your assignments. There are several interactive assignments that you're going to do. There's some group work, some collaborative work you're going to do. Of course, you're going to complete your guided notes. You're going to put Mr. Muybridge's concept or idea to the test on your own in your collaborative assignment. And also, you're going to read about inventors who created things that have really made our lives more comfortable today. So make sure you go into Google Classroom and follow the instructions for every assignment. All right, see you next time.